Eventually, the bandits slunk into their tents, leaving a handful of guards lingering around the fires. Most flames had dwindled to embers, glowing faintly. Smoke curled through the cold air. The camp was calm and eerily still. I struggled against the ropes, the gag biting my mouth, my neck still stinging from the cut. I can't sleep. I can hardly breathe. All I could think of was Louisa and the Nocturne leader's promise of dawn. I can see Kai's chest rise and fall. Relief flickers, but only weakly. His cheek and jaw were swollen purple. The bear's punch left a bruise twice the size of my hand, a reminder of his courage. He stood between Fleury and I, without hesitation. Despite being outnumbered, despite not having a chance. But he probably didn't see it that way. Back in the forest, he put himself in front of glue mines for me. He did everything he could to protect us. To protect me. Why? I don't deserve that. Animal snores drifted across the camp, uneven and ragged. The meadow grass rustled at the edges of the camp's clearing. Tied-up rabbits curled into themselves. Badgers and skunks slumped with exhaustion. Crocodiles sprawled limp. Everyone bound, everyone defeated. Despair pressed down like a physical weight. I see a tiny flash of red, like a spark, reflecting off of something. Kai's claws, half buried in the dirt, catching the faint glow of a dying ember of the fire. Then, it was as if the events of what happened tonight played before me. Kai had warned us to go around the camp, to head to Erovia, safely. Get help. Fleury agreed. But I ignored his idea. Tears formed and fell freely down my cheeks. I just thought Wait. Kai's claw. A sudden sliver of hope. I stared at his claw, then searched for the nearest guard. One had sat against a large boulder just a few feet away from our circle. I could see him as I peered over Kai's body. My wrists screamed as I moved, the ropes rubbing against raw skin, but I inched toward Kai. Tiny shuffles. Slow. Quiet. The ropes on my legs had only just now started to burn, their coarse fibers poking through my leggings. My breathing was shallow and ragged through the gag, but focused. Kai lay motionless, his chest rising faintly. Up close, his bruise looked even worse. The moonlight shone down on his swollen and dark face. Tears stung my eyes. "I'm so sorry, Kai," I mouthed, the gag muffling it into nothing. My fingers brushed his claw, cold, rigid. I twisted my arms, trying to hook the rope around the point. My arms and legs already spent, have a pump of adrenaline to fight through their aches. Sweat beaded on my forehead. Is the rope too thick? Too tight? Or maybe the wrong angle? A frustrated sob escaped, choked by the gag. Then an idea sparked. The gag. I angled Kai's claw toward my face, twisting my torso toward the ground, my shoulders burning. The claw snagged the gag's fibers, slipping and grazing my chin. A sharp pain flared and I clenched my jaw, seething in pain. I froze, hoping I wasn't too loud, and glanced over Kai at the guard. Still asleep. I tried again. Slower. Focused. The claw wedged into the knot. Then I pulled. Hard. The cloth dug deeper into my cheeks, but it shifted. It loosened. With a final yank, it slipped free. I collapsed forward from my awkward half-squat and tried to brace myself and hit the dirt as quietly as possible, my face taking in most of the impact. Air rushed into my lungs. I stifled my violent coughing the best I could as my mouth and lungs burned with each deep and relieving breath. I heard someone stirring about, and I froze. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. I slowly peek over Kai and see the guard, a large dark red and gray hawk, shifting around against his uncomfortable rock. After a moment of more shifting about and some grunts, he lay still, and his snoring continued. Fleury woke up as I carefully wiggled and inched back her. Her green eyes flashed wide. She squeaked softly, glancing at the hawk guard. Relief washed through me, thin and shaky. "I'm gonna get you free," I whispered. We twisted back to back, fingers fumbling clumsily in the dark. I found the knot on her gag, tight, rough, painful to pry. My nail bent backward painfully, but the knot loosened. Finally, the gag slipped free, and Flurry sucked in a quiet, trembling breath. "We gotta free each other," she whispered, her voice shaking but still fierce. Around us, a beaver and a rabbit stirred about. I saw their eyes widening with nervous hope. "I think I got it," I hissed, fingers catching a loose knot on her wrist ropes. I pulled. It gave way, just barely. Then a low, guttural grumble surged through the camp, like a beast waking. We froze. My heart slammed against my ribs. I feel Flurry trembling as she lets out a tiny, terrified squeak. Silence thickened around us. Was that... Oh no. They heard us. A guard woke up. We're dead. This is it. My heart feels like it's pounding so loudly. I'm sure the Nocturnes are following its sound to this very spot. They're going to catch us. Flurry and I are crouched in the dirt by our nearly dead fire pit, frozen like statues, our eyes darting through the moonlit meadow. The full moon's half hidden by clouds, casting a creepy silver glow over the camp, tents flapping softly in a light breeze that had picked up. The captive animals slumped over like broken dolls, shadows twisting in the grass. My wrists burn where the ropes cut. My throat's raw from the gag I yanked off, its nasty cloth hanging loose around my chin, and I'm dreading having to put it back on. I wait for the guard to come thundering over, to see us, to ruin everything. Then, a faint scrape, like scales dragging. My head whips toward Kai, and my chest loosens, just a bit. It's just him, shifting on the ground, his huge crocodile frame twitching. Kai groans, his voice rough and confused. "Why are we tied up? Where are my glasses? What's going on?" His words, barely muffled by a loose gag, explode in the quiet, way too loud, and my stomach flips. I clutch Flurry's ropes, my raw fingers stinging. The hawk guard, slouched against a rock, snaps awake, his beak flashing as he looks our way. "Shut up, Croc, or I'll clip your tail," he snarls. Kai goes stiff, his yellow eyes squinting at us, finally getting it. I see fear hit him, his ropes wrapped tight, pinning his arms to his sides. We're surrounded by tied-up Florians and Marshings, the camp dead silent. Kai's big body blocks the guard's view of us, hiding our loosened gags in the shadows. He winces, hissing as he shifts, his jaw clearly killing him. He quietly tries to tug his ropes, but they don't budge, thicker than ours, meant to hold a larger animal like him. His blurry eyes find us, and I swear they widen, spotting the frayed ropes and dangling gags. "You're..." he starts, too loud again. "Quiet, Kai! Don't bring the guard over!" Flurry and I hiss at once. My voice is barely a breath, but it's sharp with panic. Kai glances toward the hawk, just a blurry lump to him, still glaring. He nods, his snout dipping clumsily, and shuts up, his tail twitching like he's nervous. The guard mutters something to himself, shakes his head, and slumps back against the rock, and after a moment, his snores start again, raspy and faint. "Kai, help us," I whisper, my voice shaking as my numb fingers fumble with Flurry's ropes. The knots are stubborn, scraping my skin raw. "My arms are tied too tight, Ivory. Can't move 'em, can't use my claws. My jaw's killing me, and I can't see squat without my glasses." Kai softly grunts, his whisper tight with pain. His tail thumps softly, and I feel his frustration, but he leans closer, squinting at my hands. "Keep going. You're doing good," he whispers. His words are encouraging. I grit my teeth, sweat stinging my eyes, and tug harder, my heart jumping as a knot finally gives, then eventually another. Flurry's tiny paws slip free, and we share a quiet gasp, swallowing our excitement in the dark. Her green eyes shine, and she spins, her small claws scrabbling at my ropes, her whiskers brushing my arms like a soft tickling promise. The knots loosen, the fibers snap and relax, and my hands break free, then my legs, the ropes falling in the dirt with a faint rustle. We crawl to Kai. His ropes are daunting, as thick as my wrist, with knots pulled brutally tight to hold his huge frame. Kai leans down, and we slip his gag off pretty easily. It's much looser than ours. We move to the ropes restraining his limbs and his large webbed clawed paws. My fingers slip on the coarse rope, and Flurry's tiny but sharp claws aren't much better. We're still struggling when a soft grunt cuts through the dark. My head snaps up, spotting a rabbit across the pit, his eyes glinting, jerking his head to get our attention. Next to him, an older crocodile, a marshing with weathered scales and a scarred snout, is stirring, his eyes flickering open, tired but sharp and yellow like Kai's. My heart's racing as Flurry and I creep over, our sneakers and paws silent. My fingers shake on the rabbit's gag, the knot slick with sweat, until it falls. "The guards put our supplies over there," he whispers hoarsely. He nods toward a tent and a big handcart about 20 yards or so off at the end of the campsite, piled with bags and supplies from the Florians and Marshings. "Find a knife or something to cut with," he urges, his ears twitching like he's scared we'll get caught. The older crocodile's still gagged, but his eyes meet Kai's, and I see Kai squint, recognizing him. "Tully?" Kai whispers, his voice soft and hopeful. The crocodile, Tully, softly grunts through his gag, his eyes crinkling like he's smiling. I free his mouth, my fingers trembling, and he coughs quietly, his voice a rough whisper. "Hey, Kai. Lost your glasses again, huh?" There's warmth in his tone, like they're old friends. I glance at Flurry, who nods at me, her eyes fierce with determination. "Keep untying others," I whisper, and slip toward the gear, my heart pounding like it's gonna burst. The meadow's silver glow guides me, but every rustle of grass makes me flinch, my ankle still aching from that old sprain. The fresh rope burns stinging in competition. I crouch down low, the grass brushing my arms, and head for the handcart, stacked with sacks of potatoes, dried berries, and wrapped loaves. No knives in sight, or anything sharp that catches the moonlight. My breaths are shallow, eyes scanning for something, anything, as I veer toward the tent's side, spotting crates piled high. Glass jars and bottles clink softly in the breeze, stuffed with herbs, jams, and a variety of the Florian stuff, their labels peeling. The sound sends a shiver through me, and my knee brushes a crate, louder than I want. I freeze, listening, but the camp's still quiet. The tent's canvas is staked tight, no way for me to just slip underneath, so I slowly edge around to the front, my shoes softly crunching the meadow grass, the swaying blades loud enough to mask my steps. I round the corner to the tent's entrance and stop dead, my heart jumping to my throat. Directly in front of me, no more than 2 feet, a guard, a raccoon, his fur striped and matted, is slumped on a stool, head back, mouth open, and snoring softly. My breath catches as I recognize him, the one who ripped my backpack off me, his claw tearing the straps like they were nothing. There it is, tied around his waist like a fanny pack, sagging awkwardly, the ripped straps knotted tight. My chest tightens as I feel anger flaring. I want to rip it off him, but he's dead center in the entrance, and even touching the knot would wake him. I clench my fists, letting the urge rest for now, swallowing hard. The tent's flap flutters, revealing glimpses of piled backpacks, bags, and smaller handcarts inside. I think about sneaking past him to the open flap on the other side, maybe finding a knife in the tent, but my eyes lock on the big knife at his hip, sheathed in a worn leather case, its handle dark and barely visible against his fur. My hands shake as I instinctively reach for it, my fingers brushing the hilt. The raccoon's snoring stutters, his head twitching, and I freeze. My pulse is roaring. His claws twitch, scraping the ground, and he shifts slightly away from me, then settles, snoring deeper. The sheath catches the knife for a second, but I slowly and shakily pull it free, inch by inch. As soon as the tip of the blade comes loose, the full weight of the knife drops into my hands, too heavy, slipping right through my fingers. It hits the ground with a clink. I freeze in shock, my breath locked in my throat. My eyes snap to the raccoon, waiting, begging for him not to move, to jerk awake. But he doesn't, not even a flinch. I glance down at the knife, then back up at him, my heart slowing a bit. I crouch and pick it up again, painfully slow, gripping it with both hands this time, determined not to drop it again. With my eyes glued to the raccoon, listening for any change in his breathing, I step back, one careful pace at a time, the soft crunch of grass and dirt blending in with the ambiance of the long, softly waving grass surrounding us. Finally, I round the tent's corner and slip out of sight. I keep sneaking at this pace, craning my neck every few steps to make sure the raccoon isn't lurking behind me. Despite dropping the knife, that really couldn't have gone smoother. Slam! My proud thoughts are interrupted by my knee slamming into the crates and the sound of clattering glass, loud enough to wake the dead. I freeze. The knife nearly slips from my grip again. I clutch it to my chest as I whip around, my heart beating uncontrollably in my throat. I hear the raccoon's snores turn into snorting in the distance, as if coming to. After about 10 seconds, that felt like 10 minutes, I hear his snores starting back up again, and I exhale a deep breath I realized I'd been holding. I glare at the crates and down at my knees, then peer past the crates toward the handcart, while trying to listen for the camp. No shouts, no footsteps. My knee is aching a bit, but I do my best to ignore the pain. I hurry back across the meadow in a low crouch, clutching the knife, the moonlight guiding me back to our circle, now darker as the coals all seem to have died. I'm back. The knife remains tight in my grip. The rabbit's eyes stare at me, wide and concerned. "What was that noise?" he whispers quietly, but stern. I ignore him, showing Flurry the knife. She's freed everyone's gags in our circle. 2 badgers, 2 rabbits, and a squirrel, their eyes glowing with hope. Kai manages a pained smile, wincing, his jaw swollen. His face looks very lopsided in the dark. I kneel next to him and angle the knife, its blade catching the moon, and saw away at his ropes. My heart's racing, and I can feel my hands shaking too much. A small white paw gently touches mine. I look up, and Flurry's green eyes meet mine, her soft, determined smile calming me. I nod nervously, and she helps guide the blade, her stubby fingers firm and steady. The ropes break and fall as Kai's arms slump. He quietly groans, rubbing his shoulders, stretching the webbing in his stiff fingers and claws. We cut Tully's ropes next, his scarred snout twitching as he stretches. Then we free the others, the badgers, rabbits, the squirrel, their gasps quiet but grateful. The hawk guard snores on, the darkness feeling a bit more thick, but our eyes have long adjusted to the moon's faint light. We crawl toward each other and huddle close, whispering so softly it's like we're breathing words. "What do we do now?" the squirrel asks, his tail twitching. "We get out of here, head to Arovia, get help, then come back for the others." Kai's responds in a rough, pained whisper. Guilt stabs me. I ignored this exact plan before and got us caught, and I nod, eyes on the ground. "I agree," I whisper, my neck stinging where Drock's talon cut, the blood now dry and flaking. The badger's eyes darken with sad concern, his voice gruff. "My wife's across the camp. I ain't leaving without her," he says sternly. The rabbit's ears twitch at his words. "My kids were rounded up and tied in another group. No way I'm leaving either," he urgently whispers in agreement. I watch as Kai, with his bruised jaw tight, squints into the dark. He sighs, his tail thumping, and gives in with a quiet exhale. "All right, let's free as many animals as we can. but we gotta deal with the guards first. I can't see worth mud without my glasses, and my jaw's a mess, so I ain't much help on my own for sneakin' and savin'. He glances at Tully, his voice softer, almost begging. Tully, you're tougher'n me. Can you help take 'em out? I'll back you up, but I need your eyes. And, expertise. Tully's snout twitches, his eyes glinting with a sort of tired resolve. You're still a softy, Kai, he mutters, but nods, clapping Kai's shoulder. Tell me, you still terrified of a little drop of blood? Kai nudges Tully to stop, and Tully whispers a raspy chuckle. All right, I'll lead, but you're hauling the heavy stuff. Deal? Kai's tail flicks, a faint grin breaking through his pain. His kind heart shines through even in a moment like this. How many guards are there? Tully asks, scanning the dark. The squirrel and rabbit slip to different angles, crouching low, their paws silent as they peering through the shadows. They come back, whispering, 5 guards, and looks like that's one for each fire pit group. Tully nods. How many captured? The badger answers, at least 50 of us, maybe more, didn't make it out. Most of the camp did. He adds, they got hold of a lot of our children. Relief hits me hard. Most escaped, maybe Louisa among them, but my heart sinks at the thought of so many kids still trapped. I swallow, guilt twisting my stomach, but I can't stop myself. Did anyone... My voice cracks. Did anyone see my younger sister? Blonde hair? The badger and rabbit exchange looks that make me feel uneasy. The rabbit nods slowly, his voice a hushed whisper. A human girl was with the caravan. Curious thing. Loud laugh. She made it out before the nocturnes closed in. My breath leaves me all at once, like someone punched the air from my lungs, but in the best possible way. Louisa made it. She's alive.